Hi, friends. For our Time for All Ages today, I'd like to talk about the history of the Flower Communion. The Flower Communion is a ceremony that was created more than 90 years ago by the Reverend Norbert Capek. Dr. Capek founded the Unitarian Church in Czechoslovakia. He wanted his congregation to have a ritual that would tie the members more closely together, a ceremony that would show that each person is an individual, but also a part of the whole community. But he and his church members didn't like some of the traditional rituals of Christianity. One day, Dr. Capek was out walking, and he realized that the gardens and the countryside of Czechoslovakia had just the perfect symbol of peace and beauty that his church needed: flowers. He asked each person in his congregation to bring a flower to church, a flower from their own garden or from the field or the roadside. When they arrived at church, each person placed their flower in a big vase to signify that it was their own free will that they joined the others with. The bouquet of flowers was carried up to the front of the sanctuary so everyone could see it. It was a symbol of the beauty and diversity of the people, the values they held in common, and the community that they created together. Dr. Capek said a blessing for the flowers, and at the end of the service, each person took a flower home, a flower to remind them of their community. That first flower festival was such a success that they decided to do it every year. But Czechoslovakia was not a peaceful place at the time. World War II soon brought troubles, and in 1939, Norbert Capek's wife, Maja, came to the United States to try to raise money to help war refugees. She brought the Flower Communion ritual with her to the Unitarian Church in Cambridge, Massachusetts. When Maja went to America, Norbert stayed behind in Czechoslovakia. He knew he needed to be with his church, helping his people. But Maja was not able to go home again until the war was over, and sadly, she never saw her husband again. That's because when the Nazis took control of Prague in 1940, they found Dr. Capek's message of the inherent worth and beauty of every person to be dangerously subversive. Dr. Capek was sent to the concentration camp at Dachau, where he was killed the next year. Dr. Norbert Capek was a strong and gentle man who spent his life helping people have religious freedom and resist the forces of oppression. He taught his church members to accept each other and their neighbors without prejudice. We celebrate the Flower Communion not only as a way to symbolize the beauty of our diversity, but also to help us remember that we must keep working for human freedom, equality, worth, and dignity, just like Dr. Capek did. And now, please join me in our affirmation. We'll say it first in English and then in Spanish. We are Unitarian Universalists, a people of open minds, loving hearts, and welcoming hands. Somos unitarios universalistas, personas de mentes abiertas, corazones amorosos y manos que dan la bienvenida.